Hello and welcome to episode 160 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin. With me, as always, is my best man, Chris Nicolay. Chris, how you doing today?
I don't know yet.
And with us from Colorado is Emma. How are you?
Been a long week, but I'm not complaining.
And then bringing the energy, Shanine. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good job, team.
So much energy.
Tonight we got Golden Globes, we got D&D, Final Fantasy, and then Magic the Gathering. And then we're going to be doing our top 3 movies or series that deserve a remake as a return to an older top 3. Before we get into that, as always, listeners, you can find us on our social media of OneGeek411. Then you can jump in our Discord server if you want to chat with us between shows. You can also send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. And you can check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com. You can watch live Monday nights, 6:45 Mountain Time, twitch.tv/onegeek411. Be part of the post-show chats. And then you can find the videos over on our YouTube channel. And then, if you're a podcast listener, of course, you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you find your podcasts. Then you can also head over to our Redbubble store and check out all our cool merch. With that, let's jump into what we have been up to this past week. Emma, why don't you start us off?
All right. I watched Men in Tights for the first time, and I have no idea why I've never seen it before. And it's
so good.
Fabulous and a great experience. So if you've never seen Men in Tights, I highly recommend going to see it. It's a good movie. Did y'all remember that it's March again? Happy March 1st.
Again, still.
It never ended.
It's the longest
A year
March
ago,
of
the
ever.
longest March
Yeah.
I've ever experienced. And that was a realization I came to today, was that it's March. And I played some more Jedi Fallen Order yesterday, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And I'm really enjoying it so far, which is a bit of, I wouldn't really say surprise, but it's a little surprising for someone who's like me, who's neutral on Star Wars in general. I'm enjoying it a lot. And I'm slowly turning my lightsaber handle hilt into my own version of a sonic screwdriver. So
Got him.
I'm essentially just pretending that I'm the doctor, but in space with space wizards.
It'd be a very different take on the Doctor.
It would be a very different take on the Doctor, but I'm
Although-
enjoying it so far. So
Yeah. I do have to say, Obi-Wan does also hate guns.
yeah,
So
it's been a long-time goal of mine personally to make an OC Star Wars character / cosplay that's basically the 13th Doctor as a Jedi. So no one steal that idea.
Yeah.
It's mine, and I'm going to make it happen one day. So I'm realizing that dream every time I play Jedi Fallen Order. I'm just like, yes, I'm going to make this happen.
gotta believe.
Just got to believe that I will someday have the time and money to finance that dream.
You just gotta know someone.
So I may know someone someday, but yeah, that's been my week.
Shanine, what have you been up to?
We have been watching Superstore, which is basically just like a not as funny Office.
Is it
Debatable.
like the mom, we have the office at home?
Yeah. It's like decently enjoyable, but then some of the jokes you're like, oh, that was like verbatim in the Office.
Oh,
It's a little awkward. But like just not executed as well. Yeah, it's fine.
I want to read the beginning of the description for Superstore. An oddball family of employees at supersized megastore Cloud9 tackles the day-to-day grind of rabid bargain hunters, riot-causing sales, and nap-worthy training sessions. I mean, except for like the riot-causing sales, but like that does sound verbatim The Office.
Yeah. And like some of the characters and stuff too. You're like, oh, that's Dwight. Oh, that's Michael.
It's more relatable because more people work in retail, though.
Are you saying you don't work in a mid-sized paper company in the Northeast?
Well, currently I do work in an office setting, so I mean it is office is relatable now for me. But prior to that, whole lot of retail.
Whole lot of it.
No, it's good though. As far as sitcoms go, it's pretty good. I've been working on a puzzle. I always forget what the painting is called, but it's the Japanese painting of the tsunami. And like this quarter is like all the same color, and like this quarter is all the same color, and it's taken me a really long time, but I only have like a third of it left, so I'm close.
Water puzzles are rough.
Yeah.
I mean, this one shouldn't be too bad. Well,
You're not doing it, Chris.
I mean, true, because I don't do puzzles.
I do, but I don't have a lot of space for a puzzle right now.
Painting
Except for my floor.
puzzles
So
are very hard.
I mean, and there's a lot of neutral area, like negative space in the upper right hand of that picture.
Yeah.
Or, if I'm thinking of it right, of the
Yep.
of Hokusai.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. But I'm gonna beat it. So,
I believe.
you can do it.
and I got to meet some friends at a dog park this weekend. It was really nice to have in-person interaction and be able to be outside without being in pain.
And pain. Oh, cold.
Cold. Yeah.
It's been a long day for
Why
Chris.
do I live somewhere where air hurts my face?
Yes, that. It doesn't hurt right now. It's really nice. It might have been a mistake to bring my dog to the dog park. He's just a very howly beast and doesn't see a lot of dogs very often, and was just yelling hello to all of them for like an hour straight. It was great.
With new friends.
Yeah. Some of the bigger ones wanted to play with him, and he did not like it.
Oh,
He's an old man.
you guys spooked.
Too close, too big.
Get away.
Get off my lawn.
You rotten kids. Get off my lawn.
Chris, what have you been up to?
Unfortunately, the only thing of note, kind of really worth noting, otherwise it's just been busy work, that I did this past week is the Great Commander Showdown. Woo! Kill Cameron first. It's the rule for the rest of the league.
I don't know why you would say that, Chris. That's so mean. After all I did for you.
You just made it. I am very happy I did not take last. But other than that, just my standard weekly stuff. Pool. I got destroyed, and yeah, it's great. But yeah, that's it. Reading. I finished a book.
You're so far ahead, Chris.
A book. Yeah.
Oh.
I already have finished Ready Player 2.
Oh, okay. Well, you are so
So
far
he's
ahead.
still
So, yeah.
ahead.
But I
It's
finished
even
that.
more.
I finished Ready Player 2 the day we recorded Ready Player 1, so
I'm like 20 pages in, 25 pages in.
I haven't
Mine-
started yet.
Mine's in my cart on Amazon.
it's not like you don't have still another 3-4 weeks, so
Yeah,
you have plenty of time still.
so much time.
Let's see. For me, I was also in the Great Commander Showdown this past Saturday. I do not appreciate the Kill Cameron first comments. Just like that on the record. I've done nothing wrong.
We just gotta do it for a week, Cameron. You gotta take last 1 week, and then we'll forget how big of a threat you are.
again, I did nothing wrong. So,
It's true.
um, and other than that, I beat Concrete Genie over the weekend. And so it was a PlayStation Plus game that came out last week where you are like painting these like genie things and then they interact with the world. And then suddenly for like the last third of the game, it becomes like an action game. And
I've been looking at that game. Seems like
yeah.
fun.
I'll just say, as somebody who's not an artist, I definitely appreciate that you can do like the bare minimum on the art. And so that's great. And so let's see. And then been playing some more No Man's Sky. Trying to work my way through that and get my living ship. And it's been taking a while because the crest line is dumb. And I'm not a huge fan of it. But the ships look cool, so I want one.
And that's gotten better since release, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like they've made a bunch of improvements.
Oh yeah.
I
'Cause
was,
I was
looking,
interested in it, and then it was just like a big flop. So
Yeah. It did not. It was, I'll say, like, at its core, it was a good game when it came out. It just wasn't what they said it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, like, if they hadn't, like, marketed it as a different thing, it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Not good, but fine. But, like, there's, like, interviews, like the week before it came out where the, like, director was, like, directly asked questions by press and said that things would work a certain way, and then when the game released it didn't work that way,
Interesting.
and it was like, well, maybe you shouldn't have pushed this as this like multiplayer space exploration game when
I see.
people can literally go to the same planet, be in the exact same place, and not see each other.
Ah, interesting.
But now all that exists, so
Yeah.
like it's there's a lot to it now. When we were getting back into it last week, I was like looking on the wiki, and they've done like 100 something free updates to the game.
Wow.
And so, but yeah, there's a lot to do now, and yeah.
What amazes me is the amount of support they've poured into that game. That is free.
Yeah.
Because by the time like the recent like releases and stuff, you know, at least on PlayStation, it's a $10 game.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah.
They definitely got a big boost after when they did like their Beyond update, which is really like, to go to Emma's question, the Beyond update is like what fixed the game. And they timed that release with releasing the game on Xbox.
Right.
And so they were able, they charged full price on Xbox to get the game and the patch.
And then PlayStation players are
but
like,
then PlayStation,
still
because it had already been out.
$10.
Yeah, it had already been out for a year or whatever. So it was cheaper on PlayStation.
I think it'd been out for
So-
like a year and a half at that point, almost 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot to do. Highly recommend. Especially for you, Emma, since you have a PlayStation, you can get it cheap.
Yeah,
then
I'm
you can play with
looking
us.
at it right now. So
And free upgrade for whenever you get a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
With that, let's go ahead and get into our news segments for the week. Emma, why don't you start us off?
okie dokie. So we had the Golden Globes recently. I don't know. I haven't been too tuned in to the inner workings of the entertainment business.
I forgot award shows were a thing.
Being in school for it.
Right.
But we had our lovely late Chadwick Boseman win the award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture for his role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, about a jazz artist, and his wife, Taylor Simone Ledward, accepted the award on his behalf because he passed away this last year. And yeah, it was just a big thing because he passed away in August and just obviously wasn't there because, yeah. And the speech that his wife gave was super beautiful. And one quote was, he would thank God, he would thank his parents, and he would thank his ancestors for their guidance and their sacrifices. And I just think that's really beautiful, because it's for someone who's a person of color, like they've gone through a lot of historical issues and struggles. So, yeah.
I forgot that came out, and it is on Netflix. So
Yeah.
I definitely need to go watch that. I remember
It's supposedly
seeing,
really good.
Yeah.
So
I remember it was getting a lot of press. In part, I think it's because I think it is his last role.
Yeah.
That he had filmed before he passed away, and so it was getting a lot of press because of that. And it looked really interesting, and I meant to watch it, and then didn't realize it released. So I'll have to
Well,
check
it
that out
did.
this week.
He won an award.
Mm-hmm. Did any of y'all, I guess, based on our Emma's introduction, we all seemed very agreed with the. Did y'all, anybody else watch it or even know that the Golden Globes were happening?
No.
I think this morning a lot of people were talking about it on Twitter, so I assumed that they happened last night. And that's all I know about the Golden Globes.
Yeah, that was about my interaction with it as well. Was that I saw this news
This is a thing.
about him winning, and I was like, well, I guess
after the last
this
year,
happened.
It's like, wait, these things are. I forgot about these.
Yeah.
Does not feel like it should be time for those yet.
No. It still feels like March of 2020.
The longest march ever.
The longest march ever.
Shanine, what do you have for us today?
A new D&D book was announced. It comes out on May 18th, and it's called Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, which will include a whole bunch of things to make your D&D horror-y. Domains and backgrounds and trinkets and subclasses and monsters and an adventure and more things, all in the area of horror, like zombies and
y'all aren't allowed to read it.
Stuff and things.
I'm just
All right, I'm gonna go look at it right now.
Yeah. And was like, well, in that case, I
You have to
was
wait
going to
till
read it
May
for school, but
I wasn't
going
gonna
to do this.
yeah.
So
I'm gonna go do this instead.
still got a few months, but still. Actually, I don't know. But you go ahead and read it now. I mean, you're not going to remember it by the time we get to that part of the campaign, let's face it. That's only like 3 sessions from now.
And I feel like we've said this the past couple times they released new books. That alternate cover is really cool. Like whoever, I mean, the main cover art is cool too, but like their alternate covers are so good.
So good. And I love that they do the alt arts for local stores.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, obviously, I mean, yeah, you can get them at like Amazon and Barnes, but.
And then I want to keep reiterating this point that we say it every time. Wizards, give a discount on D&D Beyond if people buy the hardback.
It's something we made our stance really strongly known on. Because, yeah, you don't have to give it to us for free. You know, it's not a buy one.
There's still
get
programming.
one.
There's still all of that. Like people are still doing work. We're happy for them to get money, but.
Yeah, but I don't want to buy it. I'm not like.
Yeah. So my questions for you guys are, have you ever played a horror campaign before? And what spooky elements do you think would be fun?
Play? No.
Yeah, play no, but I did once play a one-off as a hedgehog named Hedgie the Edgy Hedgehog.
Oh man, why did this character not come up in the? Oh, because I guess you weren't on that when we did our like, what characters would you like to return to? But that was the week that you weren't here. So
Hedgie the Edgy Hedgehog.
I was like, that one definitely needed to be shouted.
Definitely.
Well, what's so nice about this particular book is it also goes along really well with the most recent Unearthed Arcana. And it's just like, oh, now we pretty much get a whole book dedicated to what was missing from the Unearthed Arcana. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm hoping to see out of it. Just spooky things.
Spoopy.
Yeah, I definitely fall much more on the side of I enjoy spoopy rather than scary.
Yeah.
Of like I think we talked about it last Halloween, but like that's like one of the reasons that I like Hocus Pocus is like it's such a goofy movie that just happens to take place at Halloween and have witches and all of these things. So I definitely fall more into enjoying that side of it. And even though like I like vampires, but like the What We Do in the Dark vampires or like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
What We Do in the Shadows.
In the Shadows, that one. Thank you, Chris. I like that side of it, and part of that's because I just like comedies a lot more.
Oh, Taika.
But, like,
Yeah.
Um,
So when I was a kid, I took dance classes, and the instructor, we had this one like warm up or whatever that was like we would pretend that we were sneaking into a haunted mansion. So we would like crawl under the fence and then like just pretend to run away from vampires and stuff. And it was probably my favorite part of dance classes was just pretending to sneak into a haunted mansion and then run away from everything that was scary or like yell at it or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing about D&D is that you can make it as spooky or as goofy as you want.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
I really like that meme of like, what is it like the party we expected, and it's like this rugged group of adventurers, and then it's like the party we got, and it's Road to El Dorado, and like that kind of thing. It's like, well, they're both great, but not necessarily what you always expected.
Yeah, my group did a horror one shot. I can't remember what it was called. Something to do with Cthulhu. You used playing cards instead of dice, and it was really fun. Everyone was dead by the end of it, but then not dead because
Because spoopy.
Spooky Lovecraft revival.
Yeah, there was weird like alternate dimensions and
If you
big
so much as look
fog
at
monsters. And
Mr. Squidface, then you just go insane.
yes. So it's fun. I like a little bit of spooky.
I did a one shot led by Madeline from Love Thy Nerd that was a Tiger King inspired. I forget the actual system.
Is everyone just Rangers?
Well, it wasn't D&D. It was a different system, but I can't remember what it was. But it
still,
was
was
Tiger
everyone
King
just Rangers?
but it was like modern day, and so, and then the spoopy twist is that like there was like eldritch horrors and stuff involved, and so that was really fun. I've never done anything like longer than that, like one shot style thing, but. I like it. Chris, what do you got for us?
Honestly, I think your news would be a better transition, but
Okay, we can go into mine.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. So this past week, we got news of a new thing joining Magic the Gathering called Magic Voyages, or called Magic Universes Beyond. And so the rough idea is that Magic is officially going to be doing more crossovers. We had the Walking Dead crossover semi recently for that secret lair. And then now we are going to be getting crossovers with Warhammer 40K and Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
One of those things is not like the other. And so There's a lot of hubbub in the community right now, that's going to put it lightly, about what this means for the future of the game and things like that. But since I know we are not all Magic the Gathering players here, I wanted us to kind of use our imaginations and kind of think through um, and ask for the question of what crossovers would you like to see, and if you're not a Magic the Gathering player, or don't play often, what IPs would get you excited and would have you want to get into playing Magic?
No idea.
I mean, I feel like some Doctor Who cards would be super fun.
Yeah.
A Narnia set would be fun.
I'd also be super down for Narnia.
I mean, I'm not a big card game person, but I think Narnia and Doctor Who would be pretty fun.
Doctor Who also, I mean, Narnia kind of is a bit of the travel too, but like Doctor Who, like it's so easy just to be like, the TARDIS showed up. It went somewhere it wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
And
Gundam.
Gundam. So the part of me that's like, let's keep Magic like fantasy grounded is like, certain things are way too out there. And then the other part of me is like, but man, I really want to kill someone with Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but then you just played like the Marvel trading card game or
right, but I don't want to play the Marvel trading card game, Chris. I want to play Magic with Marvel trading cards.
right?
I have heard, I think it's Marvel Champions, right? Is really good.
Like they can do like what was the comics setting for Marvel? It's like the modern characters, but in the past, and like the oh shoot,
It's like Marvel like 1800, something like that. That one.
something like that, or is it like 1600?
I'm googling. 1602.
1602. Yeah, that one. That wouldn't be a bad one. Like if you were able to get the rights and come to an agreement on that, that'd be a good route to go to keep it more in that fantasy-esque. Realm. I'm just trying to think of things.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. There's already like people are already thinking, because the next Magic set is called Strixhaven, which is a school of mages, is the subtitle, and there's different houses in this school of mages, and it's like people are already anticipating that there's going to be some sort of Harry Potter crossover with it, and but yeah, I was trying to just like think of like fun crossover ideas, and I was like Pirates of the Caribbean seems like another one that like I feel like we might be a little past that at this point, but like there's probably, if there are more movies on the way and stuff like that, like
Because we had a lot of pirates already.
right. But I could definitely see them doing like something like that.
What about Avatar, Cameron?
I mean, I always want Avatar.
Yeah.
It goes without being said.
That'd be an interesting plane
It would be.
to see how they adapted those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there's just so many ideas, and like I don't know.
Interesting.
I was trying to like just use my brain. Like we already have D&D coming this summer and stuff like that, like an official D&D set. And so,
Yeah. They're
I'm
doing
definitely
sword
interested.
shows?
There's this-
I forget what specifically. Never mind.
I think it's Tales from the Forgotten Realms, something like that.
Oh, that's right.
I don't remember exactly. Something Forgotten Realms, but yeah. I was trying to just brainstorm crossover ideas. If anybody else in the chat or in comments has any ideas of a crossover that, again, even if you're not a Magic fan, like what do you think would be completely crazy that you would like to see? Let us know. No idea is too preposterous.
Obviously, Warhammer 40K.
Right. Like, yeah.
Like, Lord of the Rings is not a far stretch. I mean, because, let's face it, pretty much every Wizards of the Coast is just owns everything directly inspired by Lord of the Rings.
Basically.
That's how D&D came to being. Thank you, Lord of the Rings.
And then, Chris, what do you got for us?
So, last few weeks, this last week we got some news about Final Fantasy. So first, it is going to be the March PlayStation Plus game, which is a big title.
Specifically,
Seriously.
it's the PlayStation 4 version.
True. Yes. Which makes sense. It's like an incentive, like, but we did get news that ultimately there will be a dedicated PlayStation 5 version with additional features called Intergrade. That will be released on June 10th. So it's coming with some updates such as visual optimizations, photo mode, because video game photography is a thing, and it is a pretty game, and a new episode featuring Yuffie.
I'm so excited about this.
She might be one of my favorite characters. First of all, she's the only one that's not in this weird love triangle with Cloud. So
strong, independent woman that doesn't need no Cloud.
Ain't no need no. She just wants that materia, yo. She's a little one dimensional in that sense, though. Where'd my materia go? Yuffie. Just throwing it out there, and things like that. We also got news.
We did not get. Nope. We're gonna veto that one.
Not going there. We don't work in that industry.
What, ramen? Send nudes.
Yeah.
By nudes, I mean ramen. A little more information regarding their trademark title, Ever Crisis, which is set to be the entire Final Fantasy VII cinematic universe in playable form. Coming to mobile.
Mm-hmm.
I hate mobile games. A little skeptical. But fortunately, with mobile platforms, we also still have Google Stadia. So if you're an Android user, it is possible that you'll be able to actually play this not just on your phone.
I gotta say, whoever it is that named this needs to be the person that's put in charge of naming any potential Kingdom Hearts things that comes out. Like Intergrade, just weird enough to be out there, but we're not doing this like 358 over 2 days. Like put them in charge of names. Like, I don't want this like weirdness of the Kingdom Hearts system. Like,
I mean, Final Fantasy titling's easy. Final Fantasy, Roman numeral number.
right. Man, I think Kingdom Hearts naming could learn a lot.
No decimal points.
No decimal points. I don't want 2.5 or 0.2.
I want to know exactly where this is. Probably did that because it's like Kingdom Hearts is a single universe. Granted, Final Fantasy VII is potentially in different timelines and things like that, but we don't get into like everything else. It's still standalone. Thank God for Final Fantasy. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. And all I'm saying is I'm going to buy this again. I'm going to buy Final Fantasy VII again, remake again, if it has a steelbook, because Square just takes all my money. In other Final Fantasy news, a few weeks ago, we did have, I'm not sure if I previously mentioned this, but they did announce the new Final Fantasy 14 expansion, which is the end of the current Final Fantasy 14 cycle. It's not the end of the game, but it's the conclusion of the current story for the Warrior of Light. It's very interesting. And 2 new classes. One melee class and a healer class. We only know about the healer class because they did this event and they're just like, here's half. you can tune in for the rest later this year.
Please be excited for E3.
No, it's not at E3 even. It's like their fan. I forget what they call it. Fan Expo for Final Fantasy 14. I don't know. Maybe if they still have that, because ultimately, in other news, what will be the last con standing? Already, San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled, along with... Ooh.
And E3 has announced that they're going digital.
And E3 is going to be fully digital, yep. I had it open.
We just want
Promising.
PAX. We're just holding out for PAX West.
And Anime Expo also. But yeah, PAX West is still moving forward as far as we know. I'm assuming PAX East got canceled.
Yeah. The PAX East was not happening.
Sorry.
The South wasn't happening.
South wasn't happening. They originally had plans, but
for East,
obviously I haven't heard anything about East.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. They'd have tickets out by now.
And they've already announced...
In chat, Chunk says BlizzCon, which was last week, and they were digital.
They were digital,
So
yep.
They didn't even try it.
But it's just so funny.
Yeah. Second year in a row.
Yep. Just holding out for fall. That's just where
Holding out for fall.
By then, hopefully we'll be vaccinated. Yeah, I mean, it's a good plan because they're later. That ultimately, and then ultimately, there's still PAX so PAX Unplugged was the other one they were hoping to keep going this year,
which is usually in November, so they have plenty of time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, by fall, will the Canada-U.S. border be open?
Unless you make it come and bring us those burgers.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it does, I'm going up there to get some burgers. It's going to cost me like $10 because my car sips gas. It's great.
Take me with you.
Or ultimately, I'm probably going to get arrested for speeding because I'm going to be so confused about speed limits. Like, wait,
does your car not have both the things on it?
Shh. I'm not going to acknowledge that because then I can't say I didn't know.
Yeah. Okay, touche.
Don't try to trap me.
Are you a cop? You have to tell me if you're a cop.
But yeah, kind of sad, but kind of expected, especially because it's just so uncertain. It's hard to go ahead with the biggest conventions of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That requires so much planning, so many vendors that need to sign up and solidify their spots and everything. I'm hoping that ultimately PAX West still goes on and just dials things back. Maybe make it feel more like PAX East this year. But we'll know more.
I do have to say, like we talked about this in our PAX West show. PAX West is too big for that convention center.
Yes.
And I could definitely go for them like having a smaller show where everything can be in one place and things aren't like weirdly spread out. Like what was it? Like Level Up Dice was in the main area and then Wormwood was in the board game area.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I feel like these should be near each other. And then, what was it? There's another, Norse Forge was in the main building, but on a completely different floor. And
I will say
none of these are near each other.
The year that obviously we went, 2019, when we went, that it was a completely different setup than the year I got hyped about it with. It was just different. First of all, like that organization scheme, and even just from that year to the year that we went, it had grown so much. Like I was like, oh, they added 3 more hotels to use their convention halls because the convention center is way too small.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Also, I was a little disappointed they didn't have Chocobo minis for Ubers.
Done messed up.
2019. Like there was in that one. It's the coolest thing.
with that, I guess let's go ahead and head into our announcements. We are running the poll right now for what is going to be the movie night. We had a tie between Monty Python and the Holy Grail and Ready Player One. And so we are running a new poll between those two over on our Twitter. So if you are listening pretty quickly after this is recorded, you can go over there and vote. And then in our
Porque no los dos an option?
I mean, Shanine said this in the Discord. We are reading Ready Player 2 for March. So like there is a chance that the other one ends up in that poll as well. So and then post-show chat, we got a question from Chunk that we'll be addressing then of if the Oasis was real, what's the first MMO you would play? And then I also want to add on to that, what would you want the prize to be? Like, what's the quest reward for like completing the quest chain? But we'll get to that after our top 3. This week we are returning to our top 3 movies or series that deserve a remake. And so, as always, the first rule of top 3s is that there are no rules. So if you can justify it, it makes it. Emma, what do you got for us?
Numero uno is Firefly, for reasons that it is a good show and deserves more than one season and a movie and more love. So I would probably reboot it to a movie and maybe a second season or both.
Like, I'm just at that point with Firefly that I disagree anytime someone brings that up.
That's fine.
Just because I'm like, they did what they could.
Yeah.
And now it might be overhyped. It's like they did everything to bring closure to that. I don't want them to ruin it now.
That's fair. Which is why I would want it rebooted as long as they did it right.
Just hard to do now.
Yeah.
I also don't want it to be revealed that the Firefly fandom's toxic, because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
When you try things like this.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
Maybe a spin-off. I'd be okay with a spin-off.
Or a spin-off would be good.
That'd be a little better.
Shanine, what do you got for us?
I couldn't think of like anything, and then my husband just gave me like 20 off the top of his head.
Dang.
Counts.
I'm gonna start with the one that I thought of though, which is half serious, but I'm still gonna say it. The Greatest Adventure Stories from the Bible is like a 90s, I think it's 90s, maybe late 80s show, but it was like these people who were at an archaeological site, and then they fell into the dig and ended up in Bible times. And I feel like that was actually like a decently interesting way of doing Bible stories and like keeping them grounded in their cultural
context.
Culture. Yes, that's the word. You know.
I will say on that, there was a part of me that was, and I hope this isn't on somebody else's, but there was a part of me that was like Prince of Egypt, like more Prince of Egypt style movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like not necessarily like remaking Prince of Egypt itself.
I would say
like,
don't remake it. It's already perfect.
It's already an amazing movie.
Doing
like,
more within that.
Yeah. Like that style.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was kind of thinking that for or Chris, why don't you go ahead? Then I'll go.
My first one is Aragon, or the Inheritance series.
Ooh.
I'm not saying like it needs to be completely redone for one. And it's mostly just, can we get someone to do this book justice?
Yes.
I'm not saying that the movie was so good that we need more of it. I'm saying can
Let's
we
just do it
can we
right.
just forget that existed and move on?
Because dragons don't have feathers.
Because I feel like that's
That
like
Don't
bugs
care about
me.
that yet.
the two main schools of like a reboot or remake is it's either awful and you want to see it get justice, or it was good and you want to see it brought to a new audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like those are like the two different ways of thinking about it. And so I never saw the Aragon movie.
Good.
It's not worth it.
Yeah,
Not worth your time.
That's 100% why I never like.
Did you ever read
it
the
was
books?
I've read all the books.
The
Okay.
books were. I love the books.
Yeah,
They got a little weird toward the end, but I mean,
They did, but
at least he was
Um,
consistent. So
but yeah, like it was one. Like I feel like the movie was out, and then maybe I'd read the first one, or like knew people that like recommended me read it because the movie came out or was about to come out, and then they went and saw it and was like it's awful, and so then I never did. Like I
will
never
say,
went to see.
the only reason
Yeah.
I started the series was because the author is from Montana. This is like
That'll do.
the only reason, and it showed up in like Montana authors section. I was like, sure. And then it took him forever to finish.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Suddenly 4 books
Not-
instead of 3.
it's
a
not
cycle.
not like the author of my third top 3, which I'm not going to mention yet because, yeah.
So my number one is one of my all-time favorite Jim Carrey movies, and that's The Truman Show. So this is one of those movies that I would love to see remade with more modern technology, things like that. Like, what does this look like in the age of like Truman using social media and things like that? Like, how does that all play out into this world? And play into that bubble and things like that. Like, and like I'd very much like to see like the themes that or how they could tackle those themes with those more modern types of things of
it's hard.
even doing something like have it be like streaming and stuff like that, like tie those ideas into it and stuff like that. And
like
what
I
does that
almost
look like?
feel like a modern version, Truman has to be aware of what's happening. You know, like just because of where technology is, like, I guess like thematically he's not aware, but that's also because, you know, everything's been controlled around him. So I mean, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd be interested in that too.
It's one of those, like, I don't know exactly what it would look like, but I would like to see it tackled. And kind of even going like to what Emma said at the beginning. It's like, if it was done well, like, I feel like this would be like taking those ideas of this comedy that's this satire of like, that now becomes, instead of like becoming a satire about being on TV, becomes the satire of streaming, of social media, of all of these things that like Truman Show's an amazing movie, but it's like seeing what that would look like brought into those new themes.
So for whatever reason in my head just now, I went, The Truman Show is basically just a comedy version of Fight Club. And I don't know why and or how I ever made that connection between The Truman Show and Fight Club, but I figured I'd just share it because it's a stupid thought. So
It's
my
basically
brain just
comedy.
compared Truman Show to Fight Club. If anyone wants to know.
Oh man, Fight Club also almost made my list.
Yeah, I just watched that recently for the first time, and it was not what I expected in the slightest. So, anyway.
But yeah, Emma, why don't you go ahead with your number 2?
Mythbusters.
Hmm.
I would restart Mythbusters because I like science-y things and exploring whether or not things we say or just sort of think of are actually plausible. And this is just a show I've always enjoyed watching. So it could be different cast and people and different or similar but different format, but it's just a show I've always enjoyed watching and learning things from. So that's my number 2 is Mythbusters.
I would love to see them on Mythbusters like have the budget to do like science. Like actual like repeatable experimentation.
Yeah.
Like cuz there's so many of the things that they did, it's like how would you have done this differently if you could do it 3 more times? Like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I would like to like and like not saying that they never did science, but like there's so many of their things it's so expensive to do as a repeated experiment that that's always one of the things I wish they could have done more.
Yeah.
Janine, what's your number 2?
Okay. Fantastic Four. I have never seen a Fantastic Four movie, and all I hear is that they're all terrible. So I would just love for there to be a Fantastic Four movie that I can see.
You might not have to wait too long for that.
Except for watch, it's still going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Plot twist. It's like a meme. Like they actually like have it be a comedy, making fun of making them a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah,
It's actually
if
just
they
Deadpool
pulled it
3.
out like they did with either Deadpool or Ant-Man, where they're just like, okay, we know this is a joke, or like we know the track record for this, so we're gonna run with it. Then there's a chance that it could be good,
Just
as long as they do that properly.
Yeah, a self-aware comedy.
Yeah,
The other thing is, or they're just like, it's whatever, we're gonna make money off it anyway. They're gonna make it such an like important plot point, no matter how bad the movie is, that you're gonna have to watch it anyway, just so you can continue watching the MCU.
yeah.
Right. That's how they'll get you.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Chris, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Underworld,
Hmm.
but not a live action. I want it to be adapted into an anime series.
Nice.
I want to see more go in that direction. I want to see more live action things or like uncommon being adapted in animes, and that's the first one I'd start with.
I don't know anything about this series.
It's on Netflix.
Stars Kate Beckinsale. It's
I don't know who that is.
She's the person from Underworld.
she's also in Click.
Also a movie I've never seen.
That one you can probably skip.
Yeah. Not bad. That's Adam Sandler.
Yeah, it's an Adam Sandler movie. I just typically avoid Adam Sandler movies because they're not good.
They're not supposed to be good. She's also in like Van Helsing. I'm trying to think. Now I'm just pulling up her thing.
Oh, apparently they're not on Netflix.
They were at
Watched
one
them
point.
somewhere.
But yeah, I just, like there's some things that just aren't good in live action necessarily. Granted, Underworld has a special place in my heart. It's not good looking back, but
Yeah, that's what the Rotten Tomatoes review says.
but still, it would probably be good as an anime.
Oh, I just thought of one. Okay, it's sorry. Continue.
I didn't realize they did another Underworld in 2016.
The franchise is doing great.
Wow.
We recently watched the first Underworld, which I
It's the
think was
best
my
one.
yeah, and I think it was my first time seeing it in like one sitting. Like it's one of those movies that I feel like I'd probably seen all of, like in bits and pieces. And like yeah, it was good. Like, I enjoyed it, but
It's not good.
it's not great. But
It's
like, it
enjoyable.
was enjoyable. My number 2 This again falls in that category of things I loved that I would love to see brought to a new audience, and that's the Magic School Bus.
Yeah,
I want a live
Netflix-
action.
Netflix did a reboot of that.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it was any good, but yeah.
Oh, I was trying to specifically find things that hadn't been rebooted, and I guess I did not know that was there. So hopefully that is good.
I couldn't tell you, but
Also, would be fun in anime style, maybe a bit less educational, but
probably.
but yeah, yep. Great show. Apparently, it's already been there. So good job.
Oh, that's
me.
right, they did. Except for it's not Miss Frizzle; it's her younger sister.
Yeah.
Doesn't count. Emma, what's your number 3?
Okay, I'm scratching my original number 3 for the one that I just
You
thought
have
of
to tell
a
us though,
minute
because
ago.
you teased
My
it
original
earlier.
number 3 was to reboot The Name of the Wind book as a series on TV or a movie
Oh, okay.
or something. But the one I just thought of that I'm replacing it with is a live action version of Road to El Dorado. Because
We'll
I love
probably
that
see
movie
at some point. Let's just say.
and it's underappreciated, and it's like my best friend and I, our entire relationship. And so that's just one that I watch when I'm feeling sad and it cheers me up. So I want to reboot live action of that at some point.
I'm just so skeptical of live action remakes.
Yeah.
That's why for me, I tried to keep it like to the medium it is.
Okay, yeah.
That it already like that's why in my head I was thinking of them that way. Of course, again, there's no rules for top 3s,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
I mean, Road to El Dorado, it's like it wouldn't have to be a live action remake.
Let's face it, they're gonna whitewash
I'd like
it.
to see some kind of addition to the world. Whether it's a remake or a spin-off or something. So yeah.
Shanine, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Constantine. I recently watched it for the first time, and it's rather cheesy, but I still really enjoy that character, and I think a modern adaptation would be really fun.
And I think there might be rumors going around that J.J. Abrams is doing a like DCEU Constantine. I could be making that up, but I feel like I heard people talking about that on a podcast. So you might not have to wait long if that's true. Or I'm again just making things up.
Also, oh well, I'll wait until after top 3s for
You
this
do you.
TV related. Well, it's just I'm on the last episode of season 1 for Mandalorian, so I'm almost done with season 1. But I've been almost done with season 1 for like 2 weeks now. So
I believe, Emma. I believe. Chris, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is it's something that it has been pretty recent, and it's been remade 100 times. But I like to see them just try maybe a new platform. But I mean, kind of. I'd like to see maybe another adaptation of Peter Pan like Hook.
I do like Hook.
Hook is a good one, but at the same time, I don't want to say Hook because Hook is a classic and it's Robin Williams, and you just can't redo anything with Robin Williams, or it's super hard. He's just set too high of a bar.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Yep.
I don't know. Like the last few Peter Pans have been meh. I think they lean too hard in the effects catalog. Something I'd be even interested in seeing in like a true like anime form, or just go back like a new animated version of Peter Pan. I don't know. Something we haven't seen in a while.
just makes me think of men in tights going, You've seen Robin Hood a million times, but here we are doing Robin Hood.
Like, I don't even think it needs to be necessarily as true to the source material as they try
Yeah.
to stay.
Yeah.
Like, I want to like a full reimagining. Like, you can go straight dark if you need to. Like, go lean into the lore and the darkness that is the Peter Pan story or the theories behind Peter Pan. Like, lean
What's
into
that
that
series?
end and just go.
Okay, Shani, you may be the one to answer this, but there's a series of books that are
Yes.
Peter Pan books that are like novels for kids that like is a complete reimagining of the Peter Pan story. And I
Yep.
can imagine the cover art
Yep.
for
I
it.
own them.
And it's like Stardust or something.
No, Stardust was not a good
Or
movie.
not Stardust. I know that's a whatever Neil Gaiman, whoever, Terry Pratchett, whatever.
In high school,
It's-
Over the Wall became an allegory for sex because
and it's Star something, or there's Star in the name or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I
can't
read
think
the
of it.
first book or two in middle school, and they were great.
Peter and the Starcatchers.
Peter and the Starcatchers.
That's the
There
one.
it is.
Thank
Googled
you,
it
Wikipedia.
faster than me.
That would be it's a fun reimagining of Peter Pan where it's like sort of tells this origin of Peter where he's an orphan and ends up on a boat and stuff. That would be a fun.
isn't that what they tried to do
Sort
with
of.
Pan? Or yeah, Pan. Is that what it's called? No.
I don't know, but
I would say Pan's Labyrinth was not what I expected.
no. if that's a Peter Pan thing, they've
Yeah, it was just
way,
called
way
Pan.
off
It's
the beaten track
The
there.
2015 telling movie, but I think that's the most recent Peter Pan movie. I watched it on a plane. Okay.
Yeah, this looks like one of those watched on a plane movies. But Peter and the Starcatchers, that could be a good source material for some Peter Pan. If you wanted like TV show movie, you could go that route. Or if you want books, those books are pretty good from what I remember. I also read them like 12 years ago, so I don't know if my opinion has changed since then. But
No, I also remember them being really enjoyable. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm always down for more Peter Pan. I don't think I've seen a Peter Pan that I haven't liked.
Did you watch Pan, the 2015?
I have not seen that one.
It's
Also-
easy to only watch ones you like if you don't watch the bad ones.
Yes.
semi-related.
Disney, Hook, the one with Jeremy Sumter that I was obsessed
Yeah.
with in middle school.
Semi-related. I actually thought for the longest time that Robin Hood was a fox, courtesy of Disney. Like, I didn't realize that in the original tale he was a human. I just thought for the longest time he was a fox.
This is the original telling of the story.
yeah. Yeah, like I actually thought the Disney version of Robin Hood was the original telling for the longest time. So I just thought, oh yeah, he's that one fox that's really good at archery. So the more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. Then I guess that brings us to my
Yes.
my number 3. And that is a reboot of X-Men, the animated series from the 90s.
Have
And
you?
So I know they did X-Men Evolution, but I want like full on like animated series about the X-Men. And I'd love to see that because it tied in with the comics. Like they actually like were very true to the source material for a lot of the episodes, like very much lifting like almost like panel to panel from some comics.
Mhm.
And I would definitely like to see them take some of those ideas and take some of those like more modern X-Men comics and retell them with these characters, put them on screen, that kind of thing. Especially because like comic medium tends to get like arcs like the Dark Phoenix right. as opposed to just trying to force it into every movie with Jean Grey. So, but yeah, I would really like to see them revisit that and take the ideas behind that series and reboot it for the more modern stories that they've had.
I know like the 2011 X-Men series is up on Netflix, and that's actually pretty decent. I'm trying to think of what else is on there. But yeah, I mean, I'd agree.
And then if you are a listener, whether in Twitch chat or over on podcast services or YouTube, drop a comment. Let us know what you think. We already got a shout out from Chunk the Hut for the last season of Game of Thrones. But yeah, so if you've had something that you would like to see remade, let us know, and we'll talk about it with you. For next week, we had another shout out for Chunk. And it's kind of the inverse of this, but what are the top 3 movies or shows that should never be remade? And so you can interpret that however you will.
Like it's so good it should just never be touched.
That's how I'll probably go.
Yeah, but I'm at least picking one that way, but we already
Yeah.
know the answer to that, so
Yeah.
for me.
But yeah, so we'll chat about it. There's all Robin Williams movies. We just have 12 Robin Williams.
It's just all Robin Williams. No, it's more so like closer to my geek life. You know what?
But with that, that brings us to the end of episode 160 of First Geek 411. As always, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411, and then you can hop in our Discord server if you want to chat with us between shows. You can send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. And then you can watch live, 6:45 Mountain Time on Twitch, and then find the videos over on our YouTube. And then you can also rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And you can check out our Redbubble store and visit our website, onegeek411.com, to see our show notes. And then if you want to chat with us elsewhere, I don't know why I just kind of froze there.
We're
it's
all
in the
there.
show notes
So-
in bold.
Discord.
I'm rubbing off on everyone today.
I got Discord. But you can also reach us from our personal social medias. Mine is Humar Whittill.
Mine is I am not prepared with an I.
I'm the Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram.
And I'm not so foreign.
Been a great week.
Wash
I want ice cream.
your hands.
I
Read
want
a
ice
book.
cream. I'm just going to interrupt everyone now.
You're making my job really hard, Shania. Or it's Emma. You're fine, Shania.
Mistakes were made. They're all being left in.